Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be finishing a knotted cord rosary. What you see here is one that's already completed as an example. I have this one started already, so this is a black, like diocesan priest color rosary. I already did the decades, so the way you start out, if you want to do a full rosary instead of just a chaplet, you're going to start with your decades. So you start, with the little end of the cord, and you start your Hail Marys, and then you go around until you have all 5 decades completed. 3 rap for the Hail Marys, 4 rap for the Our Fathers. You come all the way around, and then you're going to finish with the beginning of the rosary. So we have the short end where we started, and then we have this longer cord. So we're going to hold those together, and we're going to find our other end. And we're going to take that and we're going to hold them all so they're pointed up towards the tip of the finger there. And we'll wrap down a 4 wrap and pull through. So this is creating essentially the center bead. So we'll tighten that down. Later we're going to burn off this little end, but we can just leave that out for now. Try and get these to be lined up. So we make another Our Father, or we could say Glory be. And then we'll do our 3 Hail Marys for the beginning of the rosary. So we hold the long end and that short end, the tip of the finger, and wrap down the finger 3, and then pull the end through to tighten. So I was working on the knots. I was thinking about Our Lady Undoer of Knots, and how, Mary helps to undo knots, but then she also helps to do knots, the good knots. So she helps undo the bad ones and form the good ones. Incidentally, if you have not made one of these before, I would highly recommend starting with a chaplet instead of a full rosary, especially because it takes a while to get used to making these knots tight. So I remember the first knot rosary I made, when I finished it, and the knots were too loose, and so then when I tightened them down, it ended up being this huge rosary with these big spaces in between the beads. It was kind of funny. Learning experience. Okay, so there's our 3 Hail Marys. Do another Our Father, and then we'll do our cross. So wrap down 4. Okay. So I want to show you what the cross looks like when it's done. So if you are making a chaplet, you're probably going to make a smaller cross than this, like the wrist chaplet. For the larger cross, like for a full rosary, it works well to do like a 5 wrap up here, and then to do a 10 wrap down here, or you could do 2 5 wraps instead of a full 10 wrap, and then a 5 on either side of the crossbar. You can always, change that a little bit if you prefer to do it differently, but that seems to work well. So I'm going to start with the 5 wrap that goes at the top. Leave a little bit of space in between the top of the cross and the bottom. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. There we go. Okay. I had to redo this a couple times. So basically what I did, when you're doing a 10 wrap, it can be hard to get this to tighten down well if your finger is in it just because it's so loose. And so what I like to do with this one, as you saw, is wrap it without the finger and then pull it tight, just because it tightens down better, just because it's wrapped so many times. With like a 3 wrap or 4 wrap or even a 5 wrap, it doesn't seem to really matter. But for a 10 wrap, sometimes it can be hard to get it tight if you have too much room underneath it when you're wrapping. Okay, so there's the 10 wrap and the 5 wrap with a little bit of room there for the crossbar. So I'm going to go ahead and burn this cord. So if you are using the Rosary Maker cord, you have to burn it instead of cut it, or else it'll fray, and it's made to do that. If you're using rat tail cord, so like this would be rat tail cord. This you cut with scissors, but the Rosary cord, it's like kind of rougher and everything. This you burn, which it's actually easier to do with a lighter, but this works also. So you can burn that right off, and just be careful because it's hot. Okay, so we burn that right off. And then we're ready to do our crossbar. Just set that down for a moment and pick up that end that I just burned off. So I'm going to turn this one into the crossbar. So I'm going to do a 5 wrap and then another 5 wrap. So I'll take these 2 ends and I'll put one like down the finger and one up the finger, up towards the tip of the finger, one pointing down the finger. And I'll take the long part and wrap it down as we've done before. Do it 5 times and then pull through. And you can either tighten it down like all the way to the end just to save you one time of burning, but otherwise if there's excess at the end, you could just burn that off too. It doesn't, doesn't hurt. As long as you have enough cord to do that, then it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we have there's our 5. And then we're just gonna tie this across. So we'll just loop that around and tie just a very basic knot, like you're starting to tie your shoes. That first little tie. Okay, so we have that attached. So we have one end of the crossbar, and then we're just going to wrap that other end of the crossbar. Okay. So we'll find that end again, and so we have this that's sticking out. That's what goes up to the tip of the finger, and then we have this other one also up to the tip of the finger, and then we're going to wrap down with that long part. 5, and then pull through the short part for our second crossbar. And then we'll tighten that down. Okay. There we go. Ta-da. We're going to tighten, and then we're going to burn that. Okay. So then it's complete. I had used about 21 feet of cord, and you can see I have over a yard left. But if you have like 20 feet, you should be pretty safe to go through. The one thing, I mean, it's better to have more cord than you need than not enough, because when you get through after all the decades, it's a little discouraging when you get to the end and don't have enough cord. So extra is fine, and then you can always use the little parts to even put them together into another rosary. It can be kind of fun to put like little scraps together to make one. But there's the completed rosary, and we are all set. So God bless you, and happy rosary making.